Hi, friends. Welcome back to today's Daily Creative Challenge. I will be your host. My name is Cyn Lagos. We will be continue to explore Adobe Premiere. And today's the third day. So if you've been keeping up with our Daily Creative Challenge since day one, bravo. I'm so happy. And today I'm going to have some assets also available to you, as the same as we've been doing for the last few days. And make sure to check those out. Check out the restream and check out those links so you can catch up with the video assets that we've been building. Okay, so let's jump into Adobe Premiere. We're going to be doing a cross-platform workflow today. So we're also going to be, surprise, surprise, working on Adobe Express in order to create and find some cool assets for our titles. Okay, so let's jump into Adobe Premiere here first so we can review some of the work we've done so far. All right, we're in Adobe Premiere. Let's do a quick replay here of what we built so far. Okay, so we created a really interesting set of videos where we posed a question, and we also did a grand reveal and created an engaging set of videos at the very end. Okay, we consider things like the looping so that it transitions over, and we learn a few of those things on day 2. So today we're going to be guiding the story a little bit further using titles, and I am actually going to begin this by doing a quick voiceover. As you can tell, there is no audio and no voiceover to follow this. So let's help it a little bit, shall we? All right, so let's see. Let's do a quick voiceover here. Okay. I got to visit a special place. Welcome to San Francisco. I had a great time exploring this town, seeing some really cool views of this beautiful city. All right. That should do it. So as you can see here, we have a new audio. I got to visit a special place. Welcome to San Francisco. I had a great time exploring this town, seeing some really cool views of this beautiful city. Wonderful. That alone, I think, really gives it another boost to be able to narrate the story. And we're going to help it even further by adding some titles. So one of the things I like to think about, because I like treating this like a full story from head to toe, we're going to improve this intro by including maybe something like a cover graphic. And we're going to use the help of Adobe Express in order to create that cover graphic with some really neat titles that are already templatized within Adobe Express. So let's jump on here to Adobe Express. So let's see. All right, we're in Adobe Express. I love that Adobe Express always welcomes me with so many cool things all at once. And it just gets me really energized because whenever I'm kind of in a rut and I think, I don't really know where to begin with the base foundation, I probably want to get started today with a template that can get me started. And so it's not just starting from scratch, right? So one of the things I like exploring here are some templates that are around the sizing of the video that I'm already creating. So this video is going to be posted online. So I'm going to be looking for things like Instagram stories, knowing that these are around the same exact sizing, right? They're vertical, so that should work for us. I love that these templates that are here are celebrating how many years you've been using Adobe. So it has a 20 years creating with Adobe, 10 years creating with Adobe. Let me know in the chat, how many years have you been creating with Adobe? It's kind of amazing. I think I have to go back and do some countdown and check my exact date. The date I opened Photoshop. So long ago, my gosh. All right, so we're gonna open this one here because I love the layout. And we're not going to be using this exact copy, but we're going to be repurposing the visual assets alongside here. So you're going to find some of these elements in your links today. And some of these, I invite you to do them from scratch and find your own style, something that fits you and your mood, right? Okay, so let's repurpose this and look back at Premiere. The first thing I said, I like to think of titles as keywords, right? So the first thing I said was, I got to visit a special place. A special place. So we can use that as a keyword, key sentence. So let's go back here to, yeah, awesome. I got to visit a special place. So let's do special place. And you'll notice that already we have a paragraph, a text box that is dynamic. And that's why it's organizing itself and it's so perfectly aligned. Now, at this point, you can keep this font and all of the different formattings and color choices that are placed in this template, or you can choose something different. So we have some really cool recommendations here for us. So we can choose something that kind of fits the mood of this design or the video that you're creating. I kind of like that. That's kind of nice right there. So let's see. Maybe we can find. I always find myself looking for through all the fonts. I don't know. I'm a fan of fonts. Let me know in the chat if you find yourself kind of getting lost in font choices all the time, because I definitely do. I also love using, ooh, that one's really groovy. All right. I also love selecting my own font choices whenever possible too, right? Something that I can keep the viewer connected with me as or my work as a brand, with just the font selections and also the color selections being consistent, right? So that's something else to think about. You can either befit the mood of the video as a unique element, or you can think about your brand as a whole and how it's expressing itself. So I'm going to erase this 20. I don't think I need it. I think this icon is too specific, so I won't be needing that also. And so I'm going to change the color for this because we're going to be keying it out. So I'm going to change it to something that is not visible within my scene. So I can do something like a royal blue, or as you may know, a lime green can be keyed out as well. But I can see some green is happening here, so I don't want that green to be selected. So what I want to do next is I want to create one more artboard. So I'm going to create another artboard right here. I'm just going to select that plus, and it's going to give me a blank artboard. And this artboard is in the same dimensions. However, we are not in completely blank because it is containing a color white. And we want to change that to a no fill. So we have a transparent background. Now let's go back to our special place, and we're going to do Command X to remove it and hit Command V to paste. And you see what happens here is that it gets pasted in the exact same place, which is awesome, right? I love that I don't have to position it. These two, I just simply want to separate. I want to separate this background and the word special place, but still have the same sizing and still have the same composition once they come together, right? So this is looking good. We've created, I think, our cover. Now, at this point, you can also change your color palette. So I can do my brand's orange, which is already part of my colors there. I can choose some of these fellas here independently and choose my brand colors just for fun. I actually like that yellow. Let's do this one for orange. And I think the other ones are still kind of cool. I just wanted to insert my brand orange in there somehow, right? There you go. So I like that. So I think I'm ready to download. I'm going to click download and let's do PNG. So let's hit download. Awesome. So that should be downloaded in my downloads folder. And for special place with a transparent background, really important. we're going to also download it. It's not going to need to be anything. It says here already transparent PNG, but just make sure that background is not white. And it will, in fact, be transparent. Okay, so now let's go back to Premiere. Great. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to actually remove this transition for now. And we're going to unite this first concept, right? The question section, our three-piece combo that poses the question in our viewer's mind. And we're going to right click and we're going to nest it. And that essentially groups it together, right? So let's put nest and we can call it the question. That looks good. And you can see it's this bright green, so you can't miss it, right? So now that we have that file nested, just like a group, we're going to double click it. Think of it like smart objects. You have to double click them to access the files within them. So we have this going on. And in here, I want to import those files. So let's double click on our project. So Shift 1 to go to our project section and double click. And we should be able to go to our downloads folder and grab our file. You see here, it's a little closer to me. And go to our downloads folder. Oh, I missed the downloads. There it is. Okay, so there you go. I found it. So that is my transparent file. And this is my background file. So let's import them in. Originally, I would probably name these accordingly, but currently I didn't name my files, so it downloads as untitled. Your files are a little bit more organized, the ones I provided in the link. So let's put these in a folder and call them source titles. Source. Okay. Gotta rename that. Oh, here it is. Source. There you go. Oh my God, I still misspelled it. Forget it. Let's leave it alone. Okay, let's move on to including them within this scene. So of course, our background file is gonna have to be introduced from behind right here. But in this case, it's not going to, because we're going to key out that that blue that we have here. So we don't put it on behind the layer, we put it on top. So right now we can't see what's beneath it. We can't see our files just yet. We just got to make sure to stretch it to fit the entire length of all three videos. And we're going to go into effects. So let's go into effects and look for key. And we're going to look for color key. We're going to add that to that top layer, which is our backgrounds. I know I'm saying background, but it's not background, okay? We're going to put it in our foreground for now. Go to our effect controls and make sure to select a blue. And just like that, that area now is visible. So our videos are visible, which is perfect. Now, I still want to do one more thing here. I think I want to resize this so it gets squeezed within that scene a little bit better. So that says 37. My scale's 37. That's great. And I like my position there. So one thing that I love doing is not just copying the scale, but copying the entire motion section, all those motion effects. And you can copy several effects at once and go to your next scene and just paste it within that motion. Click on motion, paste. Same for this one. Click on motion, paste, and it will be applied. So you see that 37 is there. If you had a different positioning, if you had different rotation, different anchor points, all of those live within motion. So that's an easy way to just copy and paste several things at once. Okay, so let's see how that looks. Awesome. Right now we don't hear audio because we're nested within that folder, right? So let's bring in our next file, which should be going rather fast here. We want to cover as much as possible. Let's see. Yes, that's the one we want. So we're going to bring it in. And it's actually perfect that it has a gap because we're going to introduce it a little bit later. But it already says special place. Awesome. So we want to add an effect to this. So we're going to go into effects and I'm going to look for twirl and add that effect. So instead of it just appearing just because it's part, the clip is introduced, we're going to do something kind of fun with it. And so let's go into effects here. Let's go into effects and great. Okay, so now with our playhead at the very start, we're gonna hit that angle that is currently at 0. So you can see that it's at 0 and we're gonna move it, right? But not yet. First, let's hit that animation on, so that little stopwatch. Now we have a keyframe there available. Oh wow, a helicopter just passed. My light moved a little bit. Okay, so then we have it at 0, which is the final effect. So we can move over that keyframe onto a few steps forward. And then now that we've selected that keyframe, I mean, we have that keyframe in our future, essentially, we can now twist this over. And that looks super cool. I love how that looks. So we can do it pretty exaggerated, actually, right? We can go pretty far in, woo, like this. Let's do that just for fun because we love experimenting. Cool. So we can do that, or we can go back to that keyframe and reduce that to a little bit less. I might want it around there. And to make it even better, we're going to right click and hit Bezier. Bezier. I always feel a little bit French when I say that. And that looks awesome. So that looks great to me. You can go really crazy and go the full spiral if you want, right? So it looks like this. And you can determine how fast or how slow it arrives at that point. We can put those keyframes closer to make that point be even faster, right? Okay. So we're doing great so far. Let's see how much further we can go. So let's go now into that beginning and hit that Command D to add that cross dissolve. I got to visit. That's why we did that in the beginning. That's why we nested it, because now that we've nested it, we can add an effect, a transition looping effect we had adapted previously, and it will apply to the background, the intro cover, all of it, right? Let's turn off this Instagram UI template, which you're seeing there, which was my guide to be able to help me mitigate where the Instagram UI appears. Now we know that we have templates in Premiere, some really cool templates that were launched yesterday, and yesterday's launch day of really, really cool stuff that are now introduced into our Premiere. So definitely check those restreams. They're really, really fun to watch yesterday. Okay, so I can turn that off. How to visit a special place. I got to visit a special place. Awesome. We can play with the timing a little bit, but now we have our cover there. Now here we say San Francisco. So I want to have a little bit of fun with San Francisco. Let's go into our, let's come back here to Chrome. And here you are. Okay. I lost a little bit there. Okay. And let's create one more artboard here. And in this artboard, again, we're going to double click, change that background to no background. And we're going to go into add your text. And we're going to add the letter S, pretty big around there. Something like this. And the next one is going to be F. So it's going to be San Francisco. As opposed to writing the entire thing, I think this could be kind of cool. So let's go into text effects. And something that was really peculiar to me about San Francisco was the Victorian houses, right? So I love bringing in that kind of inspiration into a prompt. So Victorian, my V's, Victorian architecture. Architecture. So now I can see some really cool Victorian architecture in my text effects. And I definitely want to use a font that is a little bit more square-like, so it's easier to see that, you know, naturally architecture is a little bit more curvilinear than, rectilinear than curvilinear, right? So that might land a little bit better in something like this. I love this. This is super cool. I love seeing the different interpretations. And I think this one's really awesome. So let's download that one. Perfect. That was super fast. And let's go back to adding a new one. But instead of adding a new one from here, from this plus sign, we're going to add it with a duplicate from these three buttons. Double click here and put the letter F. And I love that it already understands that I want my effect prompt to be also included into this letter. So I can always select from my choices. I think this one was my favorite. So let's hit download here. And let's go into our downloads folder to drag that file in. So we have RSF. This one is still downloading. This one's still going. Oh no, I think those are still downloading. That's okay because I have some backups. We came prepared, folks. All right, so let's bring in SF into this section here where we say San Francisco. But then you can see here that those files are fairly big. So we want to make sure they're a little bit smaller so they're actually pretty introduced rather quickly. So Command R and make that maybe 10 seconds. Remove this to 0. Okay, and so that gets introduced here. And we're going to say San Francisco, right? To San Francisco. And we're going to introduce them right here. To San Francisco. To San Francisco. Oh, the S is before the F. Quick San Francisco. Awesome. Quick toggle there. And to make the transition a little bit better, I think I'm going to make this 15 seconds. To San Francisco. I'm going to go into effects and do Gaussian blur. I like using Gaussian blur. And do an effect on one of these. And go to effect controls, grab that Gaussian blur, and just like we did before, into the future we're going to have, well, in the beginning we're going to have actually 0, and then it's going to expand into a little bit of a smoke right here. And now we can copy and paste that. Make sure it happens towards the end right here. So let's drag that over towards the end. Okay, and then now we're going to do it to this one too. And we're just going to hit paste and make sure it's backwards. So the blur happens first. Francisco. So now those two transition into each other. San Francisco. Awesome. Saw that? San Francisco. So let's play it one last time. Go. I got to visit a special place. Welcome to San Francisco. I had a great time exploring this town, seeing some really cool views of this beautiful city. I love that. I love that so much. And I think this wraps it up, folks. Thank you so much for being a part of today's daily creative challenge, but also for keeping up with every single day's creative challenge. I know I have some folks here who kept up with everything, all of those 3 days. So thank you so much for your support. If you want to check out some more of examples of videos like this, you can check out my Instagram where I share a lot of really cool tutorials, and you can see some of these applications being practiced within these spaces for storytelling and also for the tutorials. You'll see those loops happening, you'll see those really cool title effects happening as well, and hopefully that inspires you. Feel welcome to visit my website, cynlagos.com, where I share resources and tutorials just for you, visual artists that are developing in your craft. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Cyn Lagos, and see you on the other side.